So hello and welcome to today's video. This will be my first time doing weekly horoscopes as like a long form YouTube video rather than like a TikTok or a YouTube short. And so if you're watching, thank you. I really appreciate it. This is like a shift. And I'm probably gonna make a video for my TikTok where I talk about like why I'm making this shift and why I'm changing the way I'm doing things. But I want to start making horoscopes, like weekly horoscopes, as longer form YouTube videos so I can go more into detail. I can talk more about like the general like what's going on each week and like really like where I have more time basically. When I'm on TikTok, I really feel rushed and like I feel like I have to make it be like really fast, really choppy, and in like less than 60 seconds I have to talk about everything. And sometimes I'm a rambler, you know what I mean? I like to ramble, and I feel like this is just like the next evolution of the way that I do horoscopes. And so I think I'm going to be doing them this way. My plan is to also do YouTube shorts, like, and TikTok shorts in like a different way. So like I'll do like the first part of this video where I talk about like what's happening this week, like in a general sense. I'm gonna make videos like that whenever events happen in astrology. So like this week, actually, like I feel like I'm running on, but this week we're talking about Mercury retrograde starting in Pisces. And so I'll make one TikTok where I talk about like Mercury retrograde starting in Pisces. And then if you want like the actual horoscopes where it's like, does that mean for each of the zodiac signs? That's what's going to be in these videos. And so at the beginning of today's video, what I want to talk about is the event that is happening this week from February 22nd to February 28th. We have Mercury retrograde beginning. And this Mercury retrograde will be beginning in Pisces. Pisces, if you don't know, is a very watery sign, a very emotional sign, and is one of the more confusing signs of the zodiac. It's very hard to grasp. Think about water, like you can't hold water in your hand without some sort of vessel, right? And so Mercury retrograde, right? Mercury retrograde signals to some sort of confusion as well. And so the energy is very, very watery, very emotional, very easy to get lost in. That is the energy of this Mercury retrograde. But I have some good news. I have some good news. The planet that has domain over Pisces is Jupiter, and Jupiter is in Cancer. And actually, at the beginning of this Mercury retrograde, we also have the moon here, which is the ruling planet for Cancer. And so I would say that there is a very, very lucky, very beneficial tone to this Mercury retrograde. And especially the day it starts, there is maybe a little bit of a confusing energy, maybe like an energy where it's like you don't see all the details, you don't understand all the facts, or like you're having to recheck over things, you're having to reassess things, you're having to go back over things just a little bit. But it's for like a lucky turn of events. There could be like a lucky turn of events that's happening as this transit starts that really sets you up for a series of like where maybe you're having to reassess things, but it's in a way that is beneficial. It's in a way that is for the greater good, for sure. And so that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. We have Jupiter and the moon in Cancer ruling over the planet Mercury, the sign of Pisces. And so very, very good energy. This Mercury retrograde will cross Venus, will cross the sun, and will end at a conjunction to Mars. And so as Mercury approaches Mars, right? Mars is the planet that represents like frustrations, difficulties. It can be the god of war, right? And we think about war, right? War is to meet an end, but war is difficult. And so this Mercury retrograde really highlights like moving towards like moving past like our feelings and towards action. I feel like this Mercury retrograde like is kind of signaling a time where it's like you're not necessarily leaving your feelings behind, but you're using those feelings to bring about action, to bring about change, and to create change. And so this is a time where you're able to put your feelings to the side, or you're able to see past what it is that you feel, and you're able to create change, where you're even able to like to figure out how to better use those emotions to create the change that you want. And so I feel like that is the general energy for this week and for the next 3 weeks, right? Mercury retrograde will be lasting for 3 weeks. And over the next 3 weeks, you're going to be letting go, or you're going to be understanding your emotions better. You're going to be taking a step backwards and viewing your emotions from a perspective that is outside of your body, right? When we think about like what I always think about is how RuPaul explains meditation, right? You're able to step outside of your body and see your problems from the perspective of another. I feel like that's how this Mercury retrograde will literally be starting because it's starting pretty tightly at a conjunction to Venus, and then it will pass the sun, right? The sun represents the ego. And so this is a time where you're stepping outside of your emotions, you're stepping outside of your ego, and you're getting towards action, you're moving towards action. And so the actions of this week will be less it will be less about action in the first week, the week we're talking about now, and you will be moving more towards action as the next 3 weeks progress. And so I feel like that's the general energy. Is there anything else I want to talk about? I think that's it. And so for this part of the video, I'm going to move into the sign of Aries. So for Aries, Mercury retrograde will be happening exclusively in your 12th house. And the 12th house is the house of hidden enemies, secrets, mysteries, and the subconscious mind. And so Mercury retrograde, like I said, represents it's a time where you're reassessing things, you're redoing things, you're taking what you've already done and you're reviewing it, you're looking back over it, you're deciding what you want to change. And at this time, you could be realizing that maybe you put your trust into somebody that was not necessarily somebody who is trustworthy. There could be people that are deciding whether they trust you or not at this time. But even like on an internal level, this is a period in your life where it's like maybe you've made a mistake and you're reassessing that mistake. You're looking back on that mistake and you're thinking, well, like, what can I learn from this mistake? What can I gain from this mistake? Or how can I come out on top of this? And so this could be a period where it's like you're having to take a step back, you're having to slow down just a little bit and you're having to say, well, just because I invested doesn't mean like if a failed invest, what did I learn from a failed investment? What did I learn from what I've done in the past? It doesn't even necessarily have to be a failure because that's not really the energy of this transit. That's just an example of what it could be. But you are reassessing like where you stand with something, how you feel about something, and the way you've invested into something. You're changing like your perspective on that situation. You're learning more about it. And I feel like this is a time where like the mysteries of life, the hidden things in life are coming to light for you, Aries. And so Taurus, Mercury retrograde will be happening in your 11th house. And the 11th house is the house of friendships, connections, and your network in life, right? And so really the first message for Taurus is that there could be drama in your friendships. We have the moon and we have Jupiter in your third house as well, which is like closer, more intimate friendships. And so I feel like at this time there could be drama in the people around you, and it's like you're having to decide like do I want to deal with this drama or do I want to let this drama go? Like, what do I want to do with the cards that I have been dealt? And at this time, I feel like it could be easy to like to get lost in like other people's opinions, other people's thoughts, and it could be difficult to like to weed through the noise. It could be very easy for you to like to be worried about what other people are thinking, what other people are feeling, and I feel like this transit is really going to push you to like step outside of what other people are thinking and really truly think for yourself, Taurus. Gemini, so this week, Mercury retrograde begins in your 10th house, and the 10th house is one of the most, if not the most significant place in the chart. It represents the most visible place of the chart, and so right now you could be making, don't get mad at me, Mercury is also your ruling planet, so Mercury has the most significant impact on your life. And for that to be in the 10th house moving retrograde, you could be making like a career mistake at this time, is kind of the vibe. Or you could be noticing in the past a mistake that you made in your career or with your investments. And it's like at this time you're having to learn from that mistake or you're having to take a step back and like assess the mistake. You're having to realize maybe ways that you could do something better or you're having to communicate to people better. You're having to like rally for yourself and like speak for yourself in a way that is more efficient and is more beneficial. And so for Geminis, I would just say that right now is a time where it's like you could make a public like mistake or like you could have to admit that you did something wrong. And this is kind of like it could be a relatively humbling experience, is what I would say. But in some way or another, you're reassessing the energy that you put out into the world. You're reviewing the energy that it is that you are showing to people, what you are presenting to the world at this time. And so that because that's really the question is like, what are you presenting and how can you present it in a better way? You may not have like the answer to this question right now. And it could feel like you have to take a step back or like a major step back or like even like a loss of income for a minute. in order to see like the success that you want, or in order to like to gain the fruits of your labor. And so for Geminis, this is just a time where it's like, in order to take a step forward in your career, in order to make more money, in order to make the next move, right, you have to take a step back and see what it is that isn't working. See like what cog in the machine is causing the issue. Cancer, so right now you have Mercury retrograde happening in your ninth house, and the ninth house is the house of spirituality, philosophy, spiritual beliefs, travel, and education. And so this is an interesting house because it's not really like a very tangible house. This represents like our thoughts, what we're learning, what we're going towards in life, our expression, right? This is experiences. And if you think about it, like experiences in life aren't really tangible, right? They're not like a thing. And so this is just a time where maybe you're planning your future, or like maybe the plan that you had for the future, you're realizing like that there is a kink in the plan and there is something that maybe needs to be changed, or like you're taking time to really say like this isn't where I want to go. I want to go somewhere else. Or maybe like you've been working towards a goal and it's like you feel like this is just a time where it's like, well, let's refine let's redefine the details of that goal. Let's replan it. Let's make a better decision, or like let's make a more full plan. I feel like also for cancers, this is a really good time to like build like a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. Like where do you want to see yourself in these amount of years? And understand that maybe you don't have to completely like strictly stick to that. There is the ability to like create a plan and do your best to follow it, but understand that it might be ever changing. It might be evolving over time. But with Jupiter in your sign and the moon here today, I see this is a really good time for like foresight, for seeing the future, and for imagining a brighter future. And so I would say just don't be too rigid about it is kind of the answer. Like don't be like overly rigid about where you want to go. Understand that like you can change over time, and like it's good to change and evolve with time and to be able to like to be ever changing. That's kind of the vibe. So Leos, right now you have Mercury retrograde happening in your eighth house, and the eighth house is the house that represents our investments and our transformation. And so this can be a difficult or a darker, a quieter time where you're having to really reflect inward, Leo, and you're having to look at like, so, like, when you think about investments, right? Investments enable us to reach further places in life. They enable us to grow and to expand our life, right? And that's kind of the energy, is like you're having to reassess the expansion, the growth that you've been making. And this just could feel like a time where it's like you're taking a step back and you're not really growing. It's like you're planning the next stage of growth in your life. And so this could be a quiet time where it's very internal, very personal, and is a lot about you. And a lot about the other people in your lives, sorry, excuse me, the other people in your life's involvement in your life. Virgo, and so this week for Virgos, you have a Mercury retrograde happening in your seventh house, and the seventh house is the house in astrology that represents other people in our lives, right? Mercury is your ruling planet, and so whenever Mercury goes retrograde, it is most significant for your sign. You are one of the signs that are most impacted by Mercury retrograde. And so at this time, there could be like people around you that are kind of causing drama, or you could feel like you're having to change your communication style with people. You're having to change the way that you speak to people. You're having to change your goals in relationships. You're having to change the direction of relationships. And it could feel like at this time, like as this video is coming out, that like it's impossible to like make everybody happy. And that is kind of the vibe for Virgos right now, is it's like you may make these changes, right? But like it's not going to make everybody happy. And there's just like a need to like to understand that like not everything can be solved in a day. Not every problem is your own even at this time. That is definitely a vibe where it's like not every problem is your own. Not every problem can be solved at once. And this is just a time to really learn from other people in your life. Like a lot of times in life, people are a mirror of themselves and the life around them, right? People mirror like whenever people react to the way you're reacting, it comes from within, right? And so this is, I feel like, an opportunity for you as a Virgo to really analyze the situation and learn more about the people around you, learn more about people in your life, and learn more about people in general, like as a concept. With Mercury being your ruling planet, and you're very inquisitive, Virgo. That's that is one of the traits of Virgos, is that they are very inquisitive, right? And so I feel like this is a time to really be inquisitive about people and to notice the subtleties of different people. Libra, so this week, Mercury retrograde I'm having trouble saying Mercury retrograde today. It's difficult. But Mercury retrograde is beginning in your sixth house, and the sixth house is the house that represents health, work, and your routine. And so this is a time where you're having to maybe reassess the work that you've been doing. You're having to reassess the routine that you hold and the way that you have been putting energy into your health, whatever that means for you. This is a time of inward growth and evolution, and a time where you have the opportunity to make more with less. You could feel like you maybe don't have all of the tools that you need at your disposal to make the changes that you want at this time right now, Libra. And this is just a time where I feel like the answers are held within you, right? The answers are held in the actions that you are taking and the work that you are doing. And this is just a time where it's like you may feel like you're putting a lot of work in, you're putting work in, you're putting work in, but you're not really seeing a result. And that is because you're meant to learn, I feel like, something from this period of like, where it's like, it's not necessarily a period of less action. That's not what I'm saying at all. This is a period where you may have to take a lot of action and you may not see results from the actions that you are taking, but that doesn't mean that nothing is happening. And this is a time to really be introspective, to look inward at the work that you are doing and to make decisions based off of yes, based off what you feel for sure. But really, I would say that I actually would, if I could sum this up in just a few words, this is a time to listen to your body and to trust your own intuition as a Libra. This is a time to look inward and trust what your mind is telling you, what your body is telling you, and what the signs are pointing to. Scorpio, so this week we have Mercury retrograde beginning in your fifth house, and this is a time where creative expression is maybe at a delay, right? When we talk about the fifth house represents two children, our inner child and our creative expression, as well our romantic expression. And so this could be a time where in love you feel just a little bit tongue-tied. There is that vibe where like you don't really know exactly what to say to make the situation better or to solve a problem in your relationships at this time. Or maybe there's like multiple people chiming into your ear and confusing you at this time as well. But this is a time to remind yourself of your inner child. What did you want as a child? Like what were your goals in love? Where did you see love going for you? What is that childlike innocence in all of us? We all have childlike innocence. You know what I mean? What is that trying to pull you towards right now at this stage of your life? I feel like that is very important, and that is really what you have to tap into under this transit and just taking that time to reflect. I feel like this is about reflecting on what it is that you previously wanted when you were a child. What it is that you previously what did your innocence lead you towards? What did your innocence tell you to pursue, right? And getting back to that energy, getting back on track with that is kind of the vibe of this Mercury retrograde. Sagittarius, so this week, Mercury retrograde begins in your fourth house, and the fourth house is the house that represents the past. It represents the home and it represents family. It represents in life where we come from, the fundamental things in our life. Like, think about when you go to work, right? You leave somewhere. Where are you leaving? What are you leaving behind in order to proceed into the rest of the world? What is the environment at which you hold your life upon? What is the foundation that your life sits upon? These are very important topics at this time, and it could feel like with family, with home, these kind of things, it's difficult to really to see a result, to make a result happen, or it could feel like you're rehashing old situations with family at this time. And this is a time to be, I would say, observant is kind of the vibe, to be observant and to notice what is going on around you. But it may not be the best time to exactly react. Over the next 3 weeks, I feel like you're going to learn something that will give you like the answer that you feel like at this time this week that you are missing. And so over the next 3 weeks, I feel like it's a good time to listen more than you speak, and it's a good time to pay attention, to observe the energy around you and take it all in is kind of the vibe. Capricorn, so this week, Mercury retrograde begins in your third house, and this could be a time where it's like you're not exactly sure what to say. The vibe is kind of like tongue-tied, right? We're not sure what to say. In love right now, I feel like things are going good or things could be going good. There is a vibe of like luck when it comes to love, right? We have Jupiter in your seventh house, we have the moon here as well. And so this is a time where it's like you have the ability to Express yourself freely to the people around you. Express yourself one on one in relationships freely and authentically, which is ironic because I'm saying you feel tongue tied, right? And so this could represent like a period where it's like, well, maybe I'm not sure exactly how I want to express myself. There could be that question, or there could be like an issue of like the means to get there. When we talk about the third house, right, this also relates to like our neighborhood, our interactions with the people around us. It's similar to like where we come from, but not quite that exactly. Like I was saying for Sagittarius, but it is like the environment that we are held in, the environment around us, like our neighborhood, right? And so I just feel like there is like an energy where it's like maybe you feel a little bit more like you're looking more for intimacy than you are for like for many connections, multiple connections at this time. And I just feel like this is a time where it's like you have to let things come to you is kind of the vibe, and you just may not be exactly sure how to react, or it may be a time where you're like saving face is kind of the vibe, and you're not really sure exactly what to say or how to react to what's going on around you. And I feel like over the next 3 weeks, that's what you're discovering is like the right reaction, or like a tailored reaction, a specific reaction that helps you to achieve a result that you want, Capricorns. Aquarius. So this week you have Mercury retrograde happening in your second house, and as well you have Jupiter in the sixth house. And so this is a time where I feel like your money could be rewarding you, or like the work that you're doing could feel rewarding in some way. And it's kind of about like deciding what you want to do with the rewards, deciding what you want to do with the success that you're finding at this time, or like if you're lacking success, like discovering like what kind of success that you want to achieve, what kind of material. And we're talking about the material world. We're talking about material success. And so this is a time to really plan for the future, I would say, and to discover what it is that you want to achieve and what you want to gain from the future. My disk space is almost full, and I feel like that's a message too, is like if you feel like your life is full at this time, if you feel like your life is full at this time, what can you clear out? What projects can you finish that will help to make your to-do list just a little bit less unbearable? And then lastly, for Pisces this week, we have Mercury retrograde beginning in the sign of course, Pisces. And I feel like with Saturn having recently moved out of your sign, and with eclipses soon to be happening in your sign, there's a lot of change going on, right? And I feel like this is a time where you really don't know how to react. You really don't know what's here nor there, what's going on. It feels a little bit confusing, and it's a little bit difficult for you to react to the situations happening in your life. What I'm hearing in my head, the thing that like I'm hearing like it's a whole new world. And when we talk about tarot, I can't sing, I'm sorry. But when we talk about tarot, Saturn is the card that represents the world, right? And so I feel like you're ending a cycle at this time. Things are changing. There is major change happening around you. And with so much change, like you don't know what if you're coming, if you're going, if you're up, if you're down, if you're left, if you're right. And so this is a time where you're not making decisions. You're not able to really make an informed decision because so much is new, so much is in the past, so much has changed, right? And so this is just a time where I feel like it's okay to be confused. I feel like that is the message for Pisces, is like it's okay not to know everything, not to have like this grand view. Like I feel like this is a time where like it's good always to have like a 5 or a 10 year plan, but you have no idea where you're going to be in 5 to 10 years. And I feel like that's okay for the next 3 weeks. It's okay not to put that pressure on yourself. Like you don't have to know everything, and you could feel like you need to know everything. That's kind of the vibe, but I feel like it's okay not to know everything at this time for Pisces.